Hi everyone! Welcome back to another episode of the Seattle Stitcher. My name is Megan. You can find me on Instagram as Megan_Babauta_ on Ravelry as Mama Made VM. You can also email me at theseattlestitcher@gmail.com. Any of my other social media links, they'll always be down below. I'm having a hard time figuring out how to link a Facebook group though, but I did create one and the names for all that will be in the down bar, so click there if you're interested. As I say, you are all very, very welcome here. So, buckle up. That was my, did you hear it buckle? We're strapped in, we're ready, okay. So, I felt like I didn't get very much done in this past couple weeks, but apparently I did. You know me, I like to start with my starts, and actually I have a failed start. So in the past 2 weeks, the only thing that I started was a sampler out of this book by, I believe her name is Brenda Keyes. I'm gonna pop a picture of the book here. I'll go over more of these patterns in this booklet at the end of the video, so if you're interested, stick around. But I decided to try to start one of the patterns on 32 count Wren here, and I did fully kit it up with the DMC as called for. This is an 80s pattern booklet, so I don't know if this reproduction sampler is stitched with flosses that look like the actual sampler itself. She doesn't have any pictures of the originals, or if this is just, you know, an 80s version of it. And honestly, looking at this kind of does rub me as an 80s version of it. These colors, you know, the forest green, the deep brown, the red, the black. Well, I thought it would look good on this Wren because this is kind of my favorite neutral. Wren and Fawn from Picture This Plus are by far my favorite neutrals. I adore them. They just, I mean, I can't go wrong. I know some people, sorry about that lard. Sorry about the loud car outside. So I did try, I wanted to give it a decent try. So it was kind of a start, kind of not. I went ahead and started the house. I'll pop a picture of the actual pattern itself on the screen, but I did start a little bit of the stitching and it's just not quite popping how I want it to on this fabric. I think honestly, when I looked at this sampler, I kind of got more like spooky season vibes. And so I might actually dig into my DMC stash and replace these colors with maybe some more olivey greens. I probably will maybe leave the black and the brown, but I think I might swap some of these mustardy yellows to the ketchup red and deepen them up. So we'll see what happens. I still really want to stitch this sampler, but I feel like it's important to share with you guys these fails because I'm still a brand new stitcher. You know, I've been stitching 1 year, a couple months over that now, and I still make mistakes and I make them all the time. You know, I'm sure that even the way I stitch in itself, there's mistakes within it, but I am doing a 2/2 on this 32 count. But I went ahead and just left my start in there so I could show you guys. This was my fail of a start. I'm gonna try to do a new floss toss and we'll go from there because this is a sampler that I definitely see myself stitching on. It's really, really beautiful. And it's one that's like, it gives me those fall vibes for some reason, but at the same time, I feel like I could hang it up all year round. So excited about that. I might, just dig in my stash, who knows, maybe in the next couple weeks, maybe not till next year, but stick around, I guess we'll find out. So from there, I'm gonna go ahead and hop into my whips over the past couple weeks. So apparently I worked on a bunch of stuff, I don't know. Hopefully I have pictures of everything before I started them. So the next project I have here is Plum Street Samplers? Yes. Miss Bingley's Library. This is one that I just absolutely love. I love this pattern, everything about it. I think I picked this up to start working on it because it had a lot of easy fill-in, and that's kind of the vibe I was in, feeling, was just easy stitching, fill-in work, and I mean, look at this pattern. It's beautiful. I absolutely love it. So I am stitching this on a 36 count winter moon linen. I want to say it's winter moon, or maybe it's winter white. I'll correct myself on the screen, of course, and I'll have a picture of where I was prior, but I got just a ton of fill-in done. So I got all of the houses. I am stitching this 1/2, and that's what makes me think this is a 36 count. And she is holding her little stack of books. I don't know if I had that in before where she's holding the books. but I went ahead and got that added. And then all of the windows are now complete. I just need to actually fill them in with whatever color is called for in the pattern there. And I got this second line. So now I can start working down to the bottom story of the house. How cute is that though? I mean, come on. Oh, it's so cute. I don't know where I'm gonna hang this one. I really actually want it to be hung right here on this wall, but we'll see. I just have to find the perfect frame. But I'm really, really happy with this. The only thing I changed was I swapped out, I don't remember what flag it was, a Union Jack flag or something like that. I believe some kind of British or European, some kind of flag. And I just went ahead and put a pride flag on there because, you know how in the beginning of all my videos, I say you are all very welcome here. I want people to feel that way when they're in my presence, when they're in my home. I want you all to feel welcome and loved. I'm a mother and I want people to feel like a mother's love when they're around me. So I went ahead and went with the pride flag to just be a little bit more inclusive in my home. If that's not your thing, totally fine. You know, more the power to you, but this is my thing. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it. That's the only thing that I did. And I did the DMCs to do the pride flag on there. And I just did a traditional pride flag, like the red, white, and blue, or sorry, the rainbow, Roy G. Biv. And these are all the called for colors. So I am using the called for the rest of the project. And I'm really, really happy with this project. It's turning out great. I have this in one of my little Amazon bags. And I highly recommend these. These are the smaller ones, and I just love these. And might I say, my cat, Binks, the one I found in my, I work at a car dealership, and I'm a finance manager, and my, one day I went to work, there was a random little kitten underneath a truck. It was a Sierra, and I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with that, but it's a type of truck, a Sierra, and I found Binks, our little cat, and I've kept him ever since. But all that to say, he actually jumped up on a table the other day, and I had an iced latte on the table. He knocked it over and completely spilt like a whole 24-ounce iced latte on these project bags with projects in them. None of them were ruined. So 3 cheers for these Amazon bags. I will be ordering more. So that was great. The next project that I worked on, this is my Kathy Barrick's Good Intentions. I'll go ahead and pop a picture on the screen of the pattern because I made a ton of changes to this. I am stitching this on a 32 count gingerbread Lugana. That's a picture of this plus fabric. I think I have a picture of where I was before, so I'll pop that in as well. While I'm talking about my color conversion. So my color conversion is the biggest thing that's changed about the pattern. I got really inspired when I saw Bridget, the museum stitcher, talking about her version of the pattern, and when I saw her finish, I just adored it so much. I was like, wow, I want to stitch that pattern, but I want the pattern to be Megan, you know? And I think you guys get a gist for my style. I like pretty classic styles, but I also like kind of alternative styles. That's who I am. A blend of the two is definitely me. And I went ahead and went with like these kind of smoky, again, I'm gonna use the term that I'm totally coining from Cam the Stitcher and Marjorie, I think it's Marjorie Stitches. I'm sorry, Marjorie. I'm like spacing on the name of your channel. I'll link her and Cam down below, of course. They're my babes. I freaking love these ladies, right? And they always say Southern Gothic as like a term to describe certain looks and colors, and I feel like this is the vibe, you know, these like deep olivey colors, these warm browns, these ombres of teals and pinks, and that's what I was going for. I really adored these colors. So here is my progress. Oh, she looks so good. Oh my gosh. So I went ahead and backstitched little glasses on because obviously I'm a glasses girly, and I got some more of the wording in, just a little bit more. I think I got a little bit more of the banner in here as well, not 100% sure. And I just really wanted to focus on her dress. I thought her dress was absolutely fabulous, and I knew that I wanted to use that obsidian colorway. That's my only fancy floss on here, Leo and Roxy. This is their old branding. She is now Roxy Floss Co. So my one Roxy Floss Co. is obsidian, and I had this because there was an error in a a chart that I had purchased, and I got the conversion that had the error in it. And so this one's just kind of been sitting in my stash. I loved the color. It's a beautiful variegated purpley gray, just absolutely stunning. I don't even think you can grasp the variegation in it unless you see it in person. It's fabulous. But I knew I wanted to use that for the dress to kind of give me this gray, warm but not warm coloring, and mixing it with the black, just the MC310. Oh, beautiful. So I ended up leaving her hair as is as well. I did add some little tiny half stitches to make the hairline more rounded. And I might thicken up the hair on the sides because it does look a little thin to me, but I love this. Yeah, so I'm really happy with this project overall. I'm really happy with my conversion. If any of you guys are interested in my conversion, you want a list of the DMCs, please let me know. I will write it up and I'll put it in just like even in the comments section, pinned to the top or something of the sort. But happy with this overall. I'm really loving this Picture This Plus fabric as well. It definitely is tight. Like Lugana from Picture This Plus is tight. I prefer their linens over their Luganas, but it's been a pleasure to stitch on. The 2/2 tight, like I said, but the plumpness I'm getting with those stitches is beautiful. And that's probably my favorite kind of stitching when I look at the piece. And some pieces I do favor seeing the fabric underneath, and I like that primitive look. Other pieces though, I want that full coverage, and with that Lugana from Picture This Plus, that's totally what I'm getting. My next project I worked on in the past couple weeks though, this is my Jardin Privé's Lady Halloween. Let me get you the front cover here. So here she is. And I'm stitching mine in all DMC 310, so I'm not doing any of the other shades. I think there's like some other shades of gray in here. I am not adding those in. And I'll pop a picture of where I was before. And this is a Zweigart fabric, a 28 count. It's like smoky white, I want to say. It's a stamped fabric, and I'm really loving stitching on it. It's absolutely fabulous. Highly recommend, if you are new to linen stitching, to pick up some of this Zweigart base. It's just a really nice weave, very easy to see, 28 count, can't recommend it enough. But here is my progress. Go ahead and stand up. The needle minder on this one, just because it's such a cute one, I feel like it really stands out, is a Mad for Minders needle minder. And I don't know, I feel like I did a pretty good job. I filled in her arm here. I did, I think 3 or 4 letters. I did this little, I want to say it's a bumblebee or a fly or something. Got all that in. I finished up the back stitching of this spider web. I think I had it like halfway done this whole time. How cute is that though? And how good is it on this fabric? It's so good. I cannot wait to have this one done. It's one of those ones that I know when I have it done, I'm gonna be like sad to take it down for Halloween. I'm leaving it up till Thanksgiving. It's so cute. So that one's been a fun one. And again, just DMC 310, so nothing really special about this one. I have a really cute, oh my gosh, my scissors were just in here. How terrible is that? I have this really cute floss drop that I made though, and actually this came out of a book. So I have this book. It is this one here, Doomed Queens. And if you get a new copy of this, it actually has this piece on the front cover that you are able to cut out, and it has 3 different I want to call them motifs, but that's not what they are. There's just like 3 different characters from history, queens or other sort of effects of the same that have to do with historical queens and queenship. And this is kind of like the Reaper with the scythe, but I thought that was kind of cute for this project. So that's the only exciting part, I suppose. Pretty boring in all 310, but it is an enjoyable one because it's really easy for me to stitch up a couple of letters in just a few minutes, you know, like 15, 20 minutes. I've got a couple letters in, and I feel like I've accomplished something because I got a little bit of, you know, a little bit of something done. And I can't recommend this project enough. I'll link it below. Last week I showed it as well, or sorry, 2 weeks ago in my last Flosstube I showed it as well. And I've been trying to be better about linking like where you can purchase the patterns down below. So if I am able to find a source that I trust to purchase any of these patterns, I will link them. So those will be down below. The next project, this is actually in a Me Made bag. here we are. I don't think I got very much done on this one. This was my Suffrage Act. I showed this one in my last Flosstube as well. It's just a really cute little pattern, very small. I'm stitching this on, I believe, 32 count Wren by Picture This Plus, and I'm using all the called for colors. I did have some other colors added in though. I just did some overdyed fancy flosses to swap out the bunting for the traditional women's suffragette colors. At least here in the States, they are purple, gold, and white. That is not true if you are like looking at the, I think it's the Irish suffragette colors. I think those are different. Anywho, just do some Googling and figure out what is for your nation or country or state, whatever. But I really like this. So I got more of the pot done, and I think that's about it, to be honest. I just remember I pulled this out for like 20 minutes. And then I was like, well, done with that. But I should have a picture of where I was, so I'll pop that on the screen if I've got one. I just love this one. It's so small. I should honestly just get it finished, but you know me. I love the colors. They're beautiful. And if you're interested in the colors that I used for the bunting, again, just let me know and I'll look back in my old videos and just figure out what I used previously, because I know I mentioned it in other videos, but I've been trying to be better, which I've mentioned this as well, about when I'm done with a floss, like there's no more of that floss needed in the project, taking it and putting it into my stash flosses so that they're not being held hostage in these project bags for the rest of their poor lives. So from there, I think I pulled this one out just again, a brief stitching night, like very, very brief, because I bought Love Gains by Modern Folk Embroidery. I'll pop a picture on the screen here. And I'm stitching this on 36 count oyster shell with a Dinky Dyes silk called Mystic Pools. Well, I popped this one into, it's Pattern RXP, I wanna say, is the app. I'll pop a picture of the app on the screen here. So I was having a hard time like figuring out how I could change the highlighted version of the chart to not be yellow, because the yellow was throwing me off, because I associate yellow with like highlighted. So that would mean that I was done with those stitches. But luckily, Cam, she is really well versed in using the app, and I just sent a video to her group chat and asked like, hey girl, you know, how do you do this? And she gave me a good little video tutorial. So thank you, Cam. I really do appreciate it. You are a precious baby angel and I love you. So that helped me a lot, but I still didn't work on this very much. I think I just added this bit over here, to be honest. But again, I just was kind of feeling frustrated, and I don't know, I was on a kick for like a month straight of just wanting to stitch on these monochromatic pieces, and now I'm like polar opposite. I just want to stitch, like pretty much want to stitch anything that has a million gazillion colors and is 2/2, which is like a rarity for me. I love stitching 1/2 because your flosses lay so nice and neat, but now like 2/2 is so easy to do a loop start. Love that. And the stitches look so nice. It's hard to want to pass up, you know? Your stitches look so plump and beautiful. So I'm really enjoying doing that lately. And I do have this one in a Me Made bag as well. And I do get questions, like people will message me on my Instagram, yes, I forgot the name of it, to ask what project bag tutorial I use. I always use the Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch project bag tutorial. And pretty much anytime I go and sit down to sew, I just rewatch the video real fast and then I will get to sewing. And I kind of usually, when I make bags, make a ton of them at a time because I don't love sewing. So I typically want to get as many as I can while I got my machine out, my fabric out, my cutting, you know, all that, rotary cutter, good stuff. So I'll link her video below, and I'll keep doing that as we progress in my Flosstube making. I'll continue linking her videos just so you guys have that resource as well. Okay, so this was my last month's focus piece, and what I've been doing with my monthly focus pieces is I'm going to show you a picture of where I was when I picked this up at the beginning of last month to be my focus piece. And I'll also pop a picture of the pattern, of course. This is Ode to Autumn, and it is from Cross Stitcher Magazine, the Autumn 2022 edition. I know that there's still some options for purchasing this pattern. I couldn't find the PDF online on Etsy any longer. If I can, I'll link it below. if I can find a version of it that's for sale right now, I'll link that as well. But just be mindful that someone might have already snagged it by the time that you click the link. So this project, like I said, was my focus last month, and I'm very satisfied with my progress on it. This is being stitched 2/1 on a 14 count hand dyed Aida. I dyed this Aida myself, and here is my progress. How cute is that? So the changes I've made are I've swapped some of the colors out for DMC 310. So like the bats here, I went ahead and swapped for 310. The light post and the cat are now all in DMC 310. And I've also decided to not do any beading. I'm just not the biggest fan of beads. I think that they do accentuate some projects, but for this one, I didn't feel like it was really gonna add anything to it. And I went ahead and just used the alternate shades of orange. Like there's supposed to be beads on these pumpkins. So I went ahead and just used the alternate shades of orange to accentuate that. Same thing down here. Just went ahead and used the alternate shade of orange. So I have really, really enjoyed this project, and I'm really loving the way it's coming out on my fabric. This was my first time dyeing fabric. And if you're interested, I used RIT dyes in the colorways navy blue and charcoal. And I recently watched this channel, and she gave a tutorial on her channel. It's Moonshine Stitches. She gave a tutorial in her last Flosstube, and that is exactly how I dye my fabric. So a lot of people ask like how I got this effect and this soft modeling with the darker bits. Watch her last Flosstube. She gives a really good little tutorial, and that's exactly the method I used. I kind of splotched the dye on there in bits, and then in other parts I soaked it. So yeah, really happy with this. I'm absolutely loving the project. I think that I'm not gonna add the white frame around it. I'll see when I get to the end if I feel like I need it, because that'll be like super easy stitching, and it could be a good travel piece. So I really enjoyed this. I've got all the called for DMCs and then some, because of course I have swapped out some of the colors just to work better with my fabric. And I really enjoyed this project. It was such a blast to stitch on last month. I'm really happy with the progress I got on it. I think that's the best focus piece I've gotten, like progress-wise so far. And so I couldn't be any happier, to be honest. The last project I worked on, this was kind of like, this project was killing me, man. So this is my Beatrix Potter. This is actually a Stitchy Box sampler, and I'll put a picture of the pattern on the screen there. I'm stitching this on a 36 count Fox and Rabbit Duxbury. And let me get this in the right section. So I just kept on making counting errors. I mean, over and over and over again, I was making counting errors. So I did get a little bit of stitching done in this motif here, but that is it. By the time that I had like made my like a millionth error on this little corn on the cob motif that goes this direction, I decided to just put it away, which is, I think, for the best. This is a really accurate representation of the color. If you're interested in buying some of this fabric, I highly recommend, really, really love it. It does fray, so I would recommend, I mean, all linen does, but I would recommend serging it if you've got a serger or just a sewing machine to run it through. It's a really pretty project, and it's actually a stitch along that's going on with Kansas City Girl in a Colorado World, Julie. She is hosting this stitch along, and there's no like start or end date, so start whenever you please. You can purchase the PDF version of this pattern on Stitchy Box's website, which is amazing. And it's a beautiful project. I keep making errors. I don't know why. I've loaded it up into the markup RXP, and I've also printed the paper copy of the pattern, but I just kept miscounting. I think it's because I was bringing it to work to try to stitch on, and I think that I rarely pull out stitching at work, and so when I do, it's like 1 to 2 stitches here and there, and then I fold it right back up and put it away. And then when I re-pick it up, I'm kind of lost on where I was or what I was doing, so I just need to stop even attempting to bring stuff to work. But I mean, The project's been fun. This isn't a Me Made bag. It's just a Halloween bag. It's what I had it's what I had available, I should say. So those are all the projects that I worked on this week. I'm gonna move into actually some, actually, I'm gonna do the shout outs here because I feel like a lot of people are interested in knitting or acquisitions. So I just wanted to say that I've been really enjoying that Moonshine Stitcher. I've been loving her channel. She's really great. There's another channel that just started. I've seen her on Instagram for a while now, Cinematic Stitches. She's lovely. She has like some really fun hair. It's hot pink right now and I absolutely love it. So I'll link her below as well. There's a few people that I always watch, and I know I've mentioned them before, like Lala D Stitches. She's a local stitcher to me, so I just really love her. She's just so cute, and she has like the cutest style. It's very, like when I watch her, it feels like home because she is in Washington, and like her backdrop, she has like Sasquatches and stuff. And if you don't know, Bigfoot and Sasquatch and stuff like that are huge in Washington. There's like a coffee place called Bigfoot Java. It's kind of a whole ordeal, right? So I just really like watching her. She feels like, like I'm hanging out with your best friend. She's that kind of sweet personality. Stitching Big Things with Holly. I have been watching her channel for a very long time actually, and I can't believe it. She gave me a shout out in like not her last video that she posted yesterday, but the one before that. And I was like fangirling so hard because I love her. And like, girl, if you give me a hair tutorial, hook it up because I love her hair. So those are the people I've been watching. You know, I always watch my girlies like Julie, Kansas City Girl in the Colorado World, Cam the Stitcher, Marjorie Maid, Bridget the Museum Stitcher. Those are for sure like my go-tos. Pam and Stephanie. You guys know I love me some Pam and Stephanie. Like, I can't wait to meet them. I'm just gonna like freak out. I love them. So that's what I've been watching, and let me move on along to let me actually move along to my knitting because I have been knitting a lot. So if you're not interested, skip forward because at the end I will have tons of acquisitions, even some Happy Mail. Can't believe it. I never get Happy Mail, so when I do, I'm like, oh, so excited I could cry. And I will cry because I'm a very emotional person. But anywho, let me move along to my knitting. So, okay, sorry about the abrupt background change. My husband just got home with my daughter, and so I have barricaded myself in my back bedroom to hopefully cut down on the noise. So bear with me. I've had to alter my kind of schedule a bit because I've switched from being part-time to now working Monday through Friday, and so that means that by the time I get home, I'm just usually done with the day. I have other things that I need to get done for the house, and so I haven't been able to film on my usual schedule with my usual time parameters to put it the best I can. But anywho, bear with me on the background change, my apologies. So I decided to pick out this book, Scandinavian Sweaters. This is a book that I've had for quite some time in my knitting book stash, and I love pretty much every single pattern in this book. I would probably knit all of them if I had the time, and that was my only hobby still, but I went ahead and picked out this one. I just liked that it was a really traditional Norwegian sweater, and yeah, she says that she's taken inspiration from the old Setsedal pattern, and it's a beautiful one. Yeah, Setsedal Kofta, I believe it's Kofta. But I really love the pattern. It's just beautiful, and I'm knitting mine using Holst Super Soft Held Double, and I started this Sunday, let's see here. I started it like 13 days ago. So tomorrow is Sunday, and I've started it 2 weeks prior on that Sunday evening. But here is my progress. So I have knit the entire body, which is crazy, but I really love it. It's absolutely beautiful. I think you guys can see the one mistake I made on it. Instead of knitting the brown there, I pulled up the white stitch. I don't know why, but that's fine. I'll just go ahead and over stitch it. So it'll be like a false stitch in the brown on top of it. But like I said, I'm knitting this using Holst Super Soft Held Double, and I'm using just the cream color as well as this beautiful, like, it's a cool tone brown, but when you look at it, it has this sheen of golden in it as well. And I really love that. And this is the colorway Scots Pine. So I really like the two of these together. I felt like they played really well in my wardrobe, which is pretty much all white and black with a few pops of color, but I'm really enjoying this sweater. It's just stunning. And I can't wait to block it and let the stitches really bloom. But here, I'll spin this inside out if I can to show you guys the inside of a colorwork sweater, because I find the floats to be so satisfying to look at on these like all over colorwork sweaters. And I mean, the stitches will even out even more after I block, but isn't that lovely to look at? How fascinating. So yeah, I'm just now getting to the pretty much the armpit is exactly where I'm at right now, and I will knit the repeating patterns up to the upper sleeve. I'll probably do a 3-needle bind off on the shoulder panels just because I like the way that looks. It's very seamless, and I'll steek the stitches here, which means I'll cut up the stitches and attach the sleeves because it'll be a drop shoulder construction, which is also why I went with such a large size. I know some of you guys are probably looking at this and thinking like, that's not your size, Megan. Well, it's large for me. Because I really like oversized clothing. I don't like anything too tight. It's just not my style anymore. Maybe 10 years ago. Not so much anymore, but I wanted this to be slightly cropped and very cozy. Something that down the road, if I wanted to, I can make it into a cardigan, like completely cut up the center of it and then add some button bands and have like this really comfy oversized cardigan, kind of like a jacket, but a cardigan nonetheless. So that's what I've been knitting on. I did start and cast on another project as well. This is a project also by a Norwegian designer. Her name's Skandir Knits. I'll pop a picture of the pattern here. This is one I might actually rip out. So I was really excited about it, and shout out to Bridgen for helping me with the colorways on this, because I've completely swapped the colors and I'm using an array of yarns. Sorry, my yarn's gotten all mixed up in here. So I just casted it on and started the ribbing. As you can see, it's like less than an inch, maybe just an inch of ribbing that I casted on. I casted this on though to give me, the closest I could get to like a 10-inch positive ease was actually an 11-inch positive ease. So that would mean that the sweater is 11 inches larger than my full bust measurement. And I thought that that's the style that I was going for and wanted to go for, but I actually love the colors that Bridgen helped me put together so much that I think I'm actually going to rip this out and I'm going to use them to knit one of the more colorful versions of a sweater in this book here. So let me just show you the colors nonetheless. And of course, this pattern, it's available on Ravelry. I think that Skandir has other options as well. If Ravelry is something that's not user-friendly to you, then I'll link whatever I can down below. So that pattern was beautiful. This is BC Garn in the navy colorway. These yarns don't really have colorways. So for instance, it's BC Garn Bio Shetland. This is the other color that I'm going to use, or was planning to use, and there is no colorway name. It just says, yeah, FSH016. You can see on there, there's no colorway. It's just letters and numbers. I know that this one online is usually listed as some kind of stone color, like it's not turquoise, but some kind of stone, like gemstone. It's usually listed as something like that. But anywho, I have a few different BC Garn Bio Shetland wools, so also the cream colorway, the navy, and then my off colors to this to kind of add some depth were this light pink, and this is a Biche Bouche color. They're Petite Lamb's wool. And because I wanted something that wasn't, like something that popped from these colors, I went ahead and pulled one of my favorites. This is Ember from Whole Super Soft. As you can see, I barely have any left, but I still got quite a, probably a few hundred grams, which is more than enough to play off of these colors and knit a colorwork sweater. So these are my colorways. And like I said, I love this so much that I kind of don't want to use it on the vest, but I don't know, it's yet to be determined. I did want to get it casted on because I was knitting I think that it's like the size 11, and so that was 300 stitches to cast on a 2.5 millimeter needle. So it was very strenuous because those are very small needles, and it took me quite some time, like 40 minutes to cast it on and knit the first row. And then the other thing I casted on was when I was kitting up projects, my husband, he actually found this yarn and he really wanted a hat. Yes, this is neon orange. And so I've casted on a very simple beanie for him. He really liked this. This is the band for it. He liked this style, how it was really, really saggy. So that's what I'm going for. I wouldn't recommend using the pattern on this though, because it tells you to cast on like X amount of stitches, and that would give you a massive beanie. Even when I cast it on the smaller size, it was just huge. So I went ahead and downsized with my own maths and got to a size I knew would fit his head and not be too loose, especially after you wear something for the first time, it stretches out. And so I'm just doing a 1x1 ribbing on a very small gauge for the needle. I think these are 4 millimeters. Yeah, 4 millimeter needles, which is a US 6. And all of my projects, I'm using my ChowGoo interchangeable sets. I have the shorties, I have the petite shorties, and then I have my full 4-inch regular standard interchangeable set from them. So those are my fun knitting plans and starts. And I'm gonna move on into Happy Mail and acquisitions. So as I said in the beginning of the video, or maybe somewhere in the middle, I don't know, I've forgotten already, I got some amazing Happy Mail. My friend actually, it's funny because her name's Melissa. I actually used to watch her knitting channel years and years and years ago before I ever even knew what cross stitching was. I watched her as Honeybee Knits on YouTube here. She doesn't have any videos on her channel anymore. I don't know if she archived them or just completely deleted them. I hope she just archived them though, because she is an absolute angel. She was a pleasure to watch. And I really enjoy her as a human. She's great. I'm actually hoping that when I'm at StitchCon, I can get together with her to get some drinks or something, because she's amazing. Well, anywho, she had reached out to me, and she got into cross stitching as well, just like myself. You know, us fiber artists, we kind of span our little fingers out anything that has to do with fiber. And she said that she had just switched over her to a master set of DMCs and is using a different kind of storage method. So she had a ton of floss drops, the same floss drops that I use, and asked me if I wanted them, and I was like, sign me up, girl. Heck yeah, I do. So she sent me a ton of floss drops. I'm so excited about this. These are the exact same ones that I use. I don't know if she got hers on Amazon as well, but these are the same teardrop, same shape, everything about them is identical. So thank you so much, Melissa. But not only that, you guys, Melissa sent me some yarn. So she sent me this Knit Picks. This is a sock weight wool. And I think I'm going to knit either myself a pair of socks or my daughter, because my daughter is like obsessed with this. So thank you so much. Amir is very excited about it. I am as well, but I know she'll steal it. And this is what truly amazed me. Like, I could literally cry. You guys know I'm a crier. This is hand spun by her. 143 grams, 357 yards of hand spun. Oh my gosh. And let me tell you, it's so luxurious. Oh, and isn't it the perfect Halloween colors? Honestly though, my husband saw this and he was like, oh, you're making me a hat out of that. Yeah, that's not for you, that's for me. Because my husband loves these like funky bright colors. And how Halloween is this? Thank you so much, Melissa. I love you. I hope we get together when I'm out there for StitchCon, because you're amazing. You are a sweet baby angel, and this is fabulous. Like, this amazes me. I have never hand spun anything in my life. So the fact that she made this, wow, what a talented woman. So amazing. Love that. And this is kind of adjacent to Happy Mail, but my aunt, quite some time ago, as I'd mentioned, had given me this book, Traditional Samplers by Brenda Keyes. And I had kind of forgotten that I had it in my stash, but I was stash diving this past weekend, and I was like, there's some really good samplers in there. I'll link below as many links as I can find that are relatively affordable versions of the book, because this has some really good reproduction samplers. Like, look at that. That one's beautiful. This is the one that I had started and kind of failed on, but as you can see, it's kind of more orangey. So I'm gonna switch up the colors. It could have just been the photo editing that they used. This one, beautiful bird sampler. I mean, there's so many good samplers in here. A bunch of smalls as well, just reproduction pieces. There's some really beautiful samplers in the beginning here as well, including a band sampler that's lovely. But like this sampler is a reproduction, this one's a reproduction, this one down here is a reproduction. Really like this one. I think that'll be one that I kit up for sure. Here's the band sampler on this page. So I highly recommend this book. If you're interested in a more thorough flip through, message me on Instagram and I'll send you a little video back. No problem at all to me. But with that, I'll move into my acquisitions because I did kit up a few of these projects. So not only did I kit up that red house sampler, the one that's more orangey in the picture, but I also went ahead and kitted up the bird sampler. I'll pop the picture here just so you can see it. And I went ahead and kitted this with the called for DMCs, and I'm going to use this 36 count. I think this is a Picture This Plus. Yeah, Bramble. I know that Bramble's a Picture This Plus color. That's a really good representation of the colorway. It's very soft lavendery purple, and here are the DMCs on there. I just feel like they're so bright and beautiful, like brighter than I would have expected from looking at the book. So I'm really loving that. That'll be a fun one, and I feel like this is going to be a fun one to start for the springtime. So I just got this honestly in a little bag. I think this bag is from 123 Stitch, and so I've got that one kitted up, because I kind of was on a kitting up kick apparently. And then after that, I think it was Bridget. She'd messaged saying that she was going to be kitting up Bendy Stitchy's Rolodex morning sampler. And I know I mentioned her forever ago, but Rolodex Stitches, I freaking love her. She's like my stitching mom. I love her. She's amazing. If you haven't watched her channel, go check her out. I know that her posts aren't like on a bi-weekly basis or anything like that, but when she does post, what a special treat. She's just a lovely human to be around, you know, to even just to watch. I just adore her. So I went ahead and stitched or kitted up this pattern. I'm going to use a fabric of the month from My Bestitch Me. This is a 36 count linen in the colorway Portobello. I'm not 100% sold on this color, to be honest, because here are the DMCs. I decided to go with the DMCs because I'm trying to avoid buying fancy flosses until I go to StitchCon. I'm planning on like buying a ton of fancy flosses at StitchCon. We'll get to that when we get closer to the date though, my plans. But those are the called fors with the Portobello, and I just kind of couldn't decide if I liked it. I'll pop a picture of the pattern over here so you can see that. I don't know. It's an iffy one, but I do think that this is a good gray purple base, and it does remind me of like a spooky season vibe, so I do like that. The next thing I just finished kitting up was Spring Quakers, because the Higgy Stitcher, she is stitching this one, and she's stitching it with the DMCs, and so I did finish kitting it up with the DMCs. So they are all in there now. I think I'll start this one probably later in the spring, maybe not even till spring next year, because it is a big one, and I've just got some other plans up my sleeve. So the next thing that I decided to kit up is actually a plan that I have had in the makings with Cam the Stitcher, Marjorie Maid, as well as the Museum Stitcher. And this is going to be Manning May. So Carolyn Manning is a cross-stitch designer, and she has a ton of these really beautiful like mandala patterns, these really blocked out, almost looks like quilt patterns, some bloom, like floral. I mean, she's got a ton of patterns, right? It's almost overwhelming. You get to her website and there's so much option. I knew right away I loved this pattern here, which is, I think it's Pumpkin Patch or something of the sort. I'll pop the picture here. And I went ahead and kitted it up with a 16 count Monster Mash fabric by Picture This Plus. How crazy is that? It's even more lime green. Like, you guys, it looks lime green in person with these dark modeling blotches on it. I did leave a comment on my Picture This Plus order and asked if they could send me a piece that has a lot of dark modeling on it, and they definitely did. Look at that. It's fabulous. So I ordered a larger cut because I wasn't sure, you know, how much I would need, and I wanted a large enough cut to where I could kind of place my motifs in the right colors spots, I guess, color locations, because you know, with mottled fabric like this, I wasn't sure if I would want the lime green for one and maybe a darker purpley black for the other. So I got a larger cut of it, and I just picked up all the DMCs. Oops, I'm dropping some because I am planning to have a little bit of the fabric showing through. So just very Halloween, very spooky season, very me. And I absolutely love it. So that is a fun one. And I've got that all kitted up in one of these little Amazon bags. And the next thing I had was my last, actually, fabric of the month. I stopped my fabric of the month, not anything to do with the fact that Be Stitch Me is not fabulous fabrics, because let me tell you, Brandy from Be Stitch Me knows what she's doing. Her fabrics are amazing. They're absolutely lovely, very affordable for what they are and what she's doing. She's just a genius when it comes to fabric dyeing. For me though, I personally need larger cuts of fabric because a lot of the pieces I love are massive. And I'm okay with starting a ton of huge projects, but I realized I was using, you know, I'm able to use these fabrics, but I also have a ton of projects that I need bigger cuts. So I decided to go ahead and take a pause and cancel my subscription, but my last piece from them is Ledger. This is a 40 count linen. I think that mine is a lot more yellow than other people's, and I'm not a huge fan of it, to be honest. I'm not sure what I'm going to stitch on it. I did see though, because I did purchase the PDF pattern of, oh gosh, what is it called? I'll put a picture of it here. I completely am spacing. Well, I thought that this might be a good fabric for that, but now that I'm looking at mine, there is so little blue gray modeling that I just think it's not gonna work. So I'm not sure what I'm gonna use this one for just yet, but I'll have it in my stash. I think it's a beautiful piece and it'd be good for something kind of springy and fresh looking. So I got that, and then I purchased that PDF as well. The next thing I purchased was this is a blush by Zweigart. So just a really, really soft pink. Maybe you guys can see. Nah, it's not gonna want to show up, but it's a little bit more pink in person. And I actually got this because I wanted to see what it would look like kitted up with a different project. I have my Token of Love. This was actually sent to me a couple of weeks ago by my sweet, sweet stitchy friend. And here's the pattern. But I really thought that this blush would look super cute with the DMC that I had picked. And sure enough, I do love it. I originally had this kitted up with a 32 count cream and sugar from Fiber on a Whim, which is a beautiful neutral. It's just a very soft, creamy color, but I'm gonna put that one back in stash, and I'm definitely going to be stitching this on this. How pretty. So that'll be a beautiful one. Let me just replace that as my kitted project. I don't know when I'll start this one, but it just is a good monochromatic stitch, and you guys know that those are some of my favorites. This is going to go back into my stash, and I think I have a couple more. Yep, I do. So from Top Knot Stitcher, my last pre-order from Market came in. This is Every Opening Flower by Brenda Gervais. I'll go ahead and just put a picture on the screen because this is in the... Oh, that's actually not too bad. So this is one that I'm going to kit up at StitchCon. I think this would look really good, so I'll probably keep these together. But I do need to get all the fancy flosses, and my plans for StitchCon are actually to write a list of all the fancy flosses I need and order them before I get to StitchCon, and then just do a pickup order at Keepsakes. And probably order or just buy a couple yards of fabric while I'm there, but I'm kind of just hoping to go more so for the experience and less for the shopping, because I realized I have so many kitted up projects. I don't really need to kit anything else up, not for quite some time, and I really would just like to finish kitting up what I have and stitch on that stuff all next year. So that's my plans. Tentatively, we'll see. The last thing I kitted up was Hello Fall. This is a pattern that my sweet, sweet friend Bridget got me, my stitchy twin, and I decided to kit it up with all the DMCs, which I really love. It's so pretty. I can't wait to start this one. Like, I want to start it right now. And I'm using a 36 count fawn, which is just some excess that I had from another project. So have it all in the bag that it originally came in. Thank you again, Bridget. I really love this. You are amazing. And that, I promise, we're hoping at least, is everything, my friends. Whew. Let's take a coffee break. This says good vibes only. Well, anyways, I hope you all have a safe and happy next 2 weeks, and I will catch you next time I upload. Well, bye, everyone. Safe and happy next 2 weeks. Did you hear that? That was my husband.
I got a shower.
I'm putting that in the bloopers.